So I suppose the first thing is to do a bit of an introduction. So my name is Paul and I'm one of the directors here at Burnham Football Club, predominantly responsible for marketing, but also deal with general inquiries that come through on our club email, which is where I had the pleasure of sort of first instance of meeting the person I'm sat here in front of today, Nikki Harding. So for those that don't know you, Nikki, do you want to just explain a little bit about yourself and obviously how we've come to meet up today?
Absolutely, yeah. I work for a domestic abuse service, part of A2Dominion, who are predominantly a housing company. We've got a new division in Buckinghamshire. We're reaching out across the county to harder to reach communities predominantly. So some of our Gypsy Romany travellers, LGBTQ+, and widely our male clients, who we feel are being lost along the way, not coming forward, maybe don't know those avenues to go down and where to reach out to. We offer advocacy, outreach work. So once we have a client, we are with them every step of the way, whether it's fleeing domestic abuse and going into places of safety that we can offer, or whether it's that advocacy work.
Okay, because obviously the email that you sent through had literally some leaflets and a poster and whatnot, and just really, as you say, you sort of been running in one area. You wanted to try and grow awareness within the Buckinghamshire region. And am I right in thinking you're using predominantly football clubs and rugby clubs as well, because of the audiences that we've got are predominantly men? Is that right?
We've kind of been a bit stereotypical, but reached out to those communities where we know we're mainly going to get the men. So obviously we've got a lot of campaigns and everything for women. It's always been mainly a cause that supports women, and we are very aware in recent years and all the data that's been collected, the amount of male referrals that came in from the period over a 5-year period from 2012 to 2017 doubled. There was 70,000 up to 150,000.
Yeah, because it was quite interesting sort of reading. I haven't done too much research because, as I said before, I want to try and ask the questions that some of our listeners may think of as such. But I did notice that is it one in four women, but for us today, it's 1 in 6 men actually receive some form of domestic abuse in some way.
Exactly. Throughout a lifetime, 1 in 4 women, exactly as you say, will suffer and experience domestic abuse, and 1 in 6 men. And those figures aren't that different now, are they? I think that we think it's sort of, but the difference is huge, and it's they're very close figures.
So when we talk about domestic abuse, what covers what does that include? Because obviously domestic violence is pretty straightforward, but abuse, what does that mean?
So with the Domestic Abuse Act changing in 2021, which is now acknowledged non-fatal strangulation as an offence, as a crime, and that was never included before.
Really?
And also coercive control, and this is the biggest one that we experience with men, is the coercive control and financial abuse.
When you say coercive control, that's mental abuse? Absolutely.
I think the term gaslighting is used quite a lot recently, and people understand a lot more about the mental abuse. So gaslighting itself originates from a 1938 film actually called Gaslight, where the male in the house continually dimmed the lights that were powered by gas, and every time his wife said the lights are changing, he said they're not, it's all in your imagination. You're imagining it, you're thinking it's not happening. And just that control of getting into somebody's mind, that's where the term came from. And this is what we're seeing more and more, the coercive control, where you're led to believe that you're going mad. It starts off very gradually and builds until you're questioning your own sanity, and not even believing simple decisions that you're making. And with that coercive control also comes the isolation. So somebody who's exhibiting these traits will remove you from friends and family, so you don't even have a reference point of am I going mad?
Yeah.
Can you am I going crazy? I'm thinking that this is happening, and that can go on for years and years and years.
So what could the outcome potentially be from that?
I think that the mental health damage, certainly, the control, the isolation, the fact that you're then living a very excluded life from society. People move away from their jobs, move away from the towns that they did live in, until they're completely controlled by the perpetrator. And then hopefully at some point know that there's help and reach out. But by the time it's got to that point, as I say, this can happen over years and years. And by the time it gets to that point, reaching out for that help is incredibly difficult.
So in your experience, if and I'm going to focus predominantly on men here, if a friend of mine or myself, if we need help, we want to sort of look at support and that sort of thing. I mean, what's the typical sort of process? And we're say, so from my point of view, if that situation was ever going to happen, the first port of call is typically, to me, going to be someone that's close to me that I'm going to confide in. So on the other side of that, where would my friend therefore go to get support for me, but also myself? If I wanted to reach out and Googled it or what have you, what are my options?
It's knowing about organisations like ourselves. The process would be, if you had somebody come to you, you can call into our helpline. You can put a phone call in and just say, this is what my friend is experiencing. What do I do? Where do I go? What's the best channels? They will normally from that pick up a referral from you, and then make contact if that was agreed with your friend.
And this is all private and confidential, obviously.
100% private and confidential, hence why we're doing
doing
an audio.
I was going to say, Nikki and I were originally going to do one of our walk and talks around the pitch, hence the reason why you can hear occasional aeroplanes flying over, because we're currently sat in the stands here at the 1878 Stadium at Burnham Football Club. Obviously it's a very sensitive topic, and Nikki has to stay away from the camera, as it were, because of the job that she does and the people that she's dealing with.
Absolutely. So, and our clients are equally as protected. Their identity is fully protected, full confidentiality, absolutely.
So I suppose what are we looking to achieve then? You sent the leaflets through, we put the posters up, we're having this chat now, which will go on to our club's YouTube channel, and obviously we'll spread the word, and I dare say you'll do the same. What are you hoping for with this sort of campaign, if we like to call it that way?
For men to come forward, anybody that's experiencing, any males that are experiencing any sort of domestic abuse. It might be financial abuse, where they're allowed no control over their salary. A lot of our clients that we work with, that is the main abuse that they experience.
Really?
They are not allowed a penny. Their wages are paid into account that is completely monopolised. All the passwords are kept from them. Can't do any online banking, can't use a card, and they are given literally pocket money to use. And once that's run out, it's all part of the control.
And this isn't specific to a particular age group or a particular
ethnicity.
That's the word, at all. It can happen literally to anyone, I presume.
Absolutely everybody. Statistically, there are more common age groups, and what we know culturally is that sometimes it's harder to identify. In certain cultures where the woman isn't allowed a bank account or isn't allowed to go out without the man next to her. And it's identifying whether that this is culture or if this is actually abuse. And just having those conversations with people like us to be able to say, I'm not sure. I think I might be in an abusive relationship. And it's only when you talk it through that sometimes that whole penny drop moment of, my goodness, I've been in an abusive relationship throughout my entire marriage, or, and understanding what that looks like. And it is difficult with certain cultures, for sure. And we certainly don't want to be saying that this is abuse or that's abuse. It's about the person. If it feels wrong, it probably is
So
wrong.
looking at analysing the bigger picture rather than just isolated events.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think reaching out and getting that first contact with somebody to be able to say, why is this happening? What's happening? And be able to unpick that, and somebody be able to guide you, and then have those processes, whether you need housing support, financial support. We have a lot of ethnicities where they've got no recourse to public funds, where they might be here on a spousal visa.
Yeah.
Then that relationship breaks down, and they believe they have nothing and nowhere to go. So they believe that there is no alternative. And it's just kind of broadening everybody to understand there are alternatives. There's completely different routes you can go down. And you don't have to stay in that relationship.
No, sure. So if someone wants to find out more, what's the best route?
I think that the best route is, if you're concerned about somebody, phone into the helpline. The numbers on our posters, which I believe is 0800 731 0055.
And I'll put that in the description of the YouTube channel that we put out, a little video we put out. Yep.
Amazing. Alternatively, you can, I mean, certainly here at the club where you've got my details, you can pass my details to anybody.
Of course.
And I'm happy to meet. And I mean, part of our role is to do that outreach work. So we can go to clients, discuss with them, and see if we can identify if they are confused about whether, you know, where to go, or even if I am in an abusive relationship, what do I do? And get some guidance from us.
Is there a website address?
There is a website address that's also on the that's the domestic abuse at A2Dominion, so that is also on the leaflet.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Nikki. It's much appreciated. I'm glad you came to see us today, even though we can't see you, as it were. But yeah, so as I say, we'll put the contact information, what to do next, in the description of this particular video. But for now, thank you very much.
Thank
and all the
you
best.
so much. Thanks for having us.
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate it.